Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Screen Peeking, a weekly podcast where Ziggy and I get together to talk about video games and everything video game related. Today, we have some news for you all. We have made a tough decision to actually remove our. I'm just jumping right into it, Zig. I'm just jumping right into it. We decided to remove our content from like Spotify and iTunes and everything there, all the audio version of our podcast. That sounds so crazy to say that, but it's a decision we feel like is the right one for now. We would like to kind of try to grow the audience through the YouTube channel, through my YouTube channel for now. And if we do any like live stream in the future, then we will stream it on both of our Twitch channels. If it becomes a bigger thing, we're totally down to put this back. But right now, just fronting the cost on getting it distributed to all the different platforms and everything with our, we're very grateful for our small audience, but it is small and it just to be spending the money on that is just not realistic for us at this moment. But just wanted to say that we do appreciate everybody. There's between 5 and 10 downloads I'd say every week, and we really appreciate that. And not saying that we don't appreciate it at all. We just hope that you'll check us out on the YouTube channel now, and you can check that out in the description below, along with Ziggy at Ziggy Hickson. You can find him in the description below. You can find me at Nicolobe just about everywhere as well in the description. So this is our.
To be honest,
sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's 100% a cost thing. Like it has nothing to do with like, oh, we don't want to put in the effort or any of that. It's simply like using the service that we use to distribute it costs money, and for the amount of like listens we get through like the podcast services, it's just wasn't worth fronting that cost. Just because we were getting more views on YouTube consistently. So like to be 100% transparent, that's just kind of why, like Nick said, if it starts growing on YouTube, and I think if we think enough people will be listening that it's worth that money, then I think we're definitely both down on reinvesting in that. But yeah, for now it'll be YouTube only.
Yeah, well said. I just want to add also that I think we're both willing to take ownership that it's just we're new to this. We're a little naive in some ways, and we're both like, let's just put it everywhere. Let's get it out everywhere. And then kind of we were so willing to do that. And I think just thinking about it in long term, we love doing this podcast. We love getting together every week. We love talking about this stuff. So how can we make it go longer? And I just want to make sure that everyone understands that we're not in the game to add content and take it away. we're not wanting to do that. It's not a regular thing. So yeah, that being said, that being out of the way, we love you all. Let's get into some game topics.
Let's do it.
Ziggy, what have you been playing this week?
I've been playing a couple games. So the first one, let's get it out of the way. First one I just bought, and well, I played it a bit when it was on Game Pass, and I got stuck on a level. Devil May Cry 5. I realized I went a while without actually saying the name. It's my first Devil May Cry game, but I played it before, and obviously I had no clues happening in the story, but just the combat was so fun, it kind of carried me through up until I got stuck and was like, whatever, and kind of dropped it. But after DMC5 Special Edition came out, I just suddenly got like this huge burst of motivation to play it again, and was like, oh, like I can play it on my Xbox Series X when I get it. And then like kind of weeks and weeks and weeks went by, and I'm like, it's gonna be a while before I get this thing, isn't it? So I just broke down and bought it for like $20 on Steam.
Nice.
And in the course of like less than 36 hours, like less than a day and a half, started it and beat it, because it's so much fun. Like the one thing I did not expect jumping back in is that my skills from before completely retained, haven't lost them a bit. And like I was playing on like the normal difficulty. I think I might jump in and play it again in the harder difficulty because it sounds fun. But I died once that entire playthrough.
Oh,
Whereas
wow.
before I was like that first boss you beat, I died in like probably 6 or 7 times. Like I was really, really struggling. Now it's just like just tanking my whole way through, and I beat it super quick. So that felt good. And now I want to play it again and actually like challenge myself a little bit more. But I mean, man, I think it is at this point like my favorite hack and slash like action game combat. Just because it's so like I really like character action games, but the one thing that usually kind of annoys me about them is that I rarely feel like I'm actually in control, if that makes sense. Like it's like playing Metal Gear Rising, which is one of my favorites also. I feel like I just kind of, and maybe if you're really good, this isn't the case, but for me, I'm just kind of like pressing shit and then cool stuff happens on screen and and then that makes me smile and I like it. But I don't feel like I'm really doing that. It seems like a lot of that is just sort of like the game doing it for me. But what I really, really love about this is I do feel like I'm in control 100% of the time. Because it, like the way, I was thinking about this in the shower, like the best way to describe it is, it's like the difference between playing Street Fighter versus like Smash Bros, where Street Fighter is all like really long inputs that you kind of have to memorize, where, you know, it's like quarter circle Y, like left, right, Y, whatever. I don't play Street Fighter, I know combos, but it's more input heavy, whereas Smash combos are just like, the move, like the inputs and moves themselves are really simple. It's just about how you chain them together that makes interesting combos. And DMC is the same way, where like most combos are like you lock on and then like forward and Y or backward and Y, and then the most complex they get are like forward like front back Y, and that might do something cool like hold Y, but it's simple and I can memorize it and I know what I'm doing. But it makes it so interesting when I feel like I have full control of just everything that's happening. Like I grapple to this guy, launch him up, do some slashes, slam him into another guy, like do a cool finishing move and like jump over here, and it's just so fun and like with all the flashy abilities and stuff. And the thing that I did not expect, because before I just thought the gameplay was fun, but before jumping into this, I'm like, you know what, like the story seems cool. I want to know what's happening. So I watched sort of a just recap video of the other games. Because most of them, other than 3, the stories are just kind of whatever. But the story of 3 is really interesting, and 4 is just, I mean, it's kind of weird and like kind of Kingdom Heartsy in that like a bunch of shit happens and it's kind of convoluted. But the story of 5, I thought, was genuinely really good, and that sort of like, in the way that watching like a really good shonen anime is good, I guess, where it isn't anything particularly like deep or thought-provoking, but it's just like so entertaining and has such like good character moments that I was like, all the cutscenes I thought were fantastic. And like the ending, I don't want to spoil it if you haven't played it, but it was genuinely like pretty impactful and emotional, which I was not expecting.
Oh, that's good. At all. I like that.
Like, yeah, and it's just like, I don't know. I really liked it. Ending it, and then some cutscenes just made me like just grinning the whole way through it. Even as someone who isn't like, I mean, I want to be a fan of the series, but I haven't played enough, I feel like, to consider myself like a fan of the series. Even then, it was like just fan servicey shit that made me smile. So yeah, that was really good. The other game I played was one I actually DM'd you about, because I saw it on Steam and I thought that the trailer just looked batshit insane. Like I watched like 5 seconds of it and went, no, I just need to like, I just like closed it down. It was like $2. I just bought it and started playing. I'm like, this seems fucking insane. I need to play it. It's called Post Void on Steam. It's sort of a like retro, like 2.5D first person shooter, in a Souls-like format. But I feel like saying that doesn't really do it justice, because like this game.
Wait, Souls-like format?
So did I say Souls-like? I meant, man.
Oh yeah, I was just confirming. Because I was like, wait,
I did
really?
Not mean Souls-like.
I got interested for a second.
Spelunky. What's it? Roguelike.
Oh, roguelike. It's a roguelike. Yeah. Gotcha.
Where it's procedurally generated levels and all that.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if you can bring up a trailer for it or something right now, because this game really needs to be like seen. Just me talking about it doesn't do it justice. And epilepsy warning if you're watching this, because like.
Yeah, maybe I'll just we just suggest that you check it out.
Yeah,
on Steam.
Suggest if your eyes are okay, please go watch it, because it is insane, and like something about playing this game just makes me feel this certain way that's kind of hard to describe. It's like almost just utter rage because it's like fucking hard. I mean, like complete playthrough lasts like 7 minutes, and I have never beat it yet. I only get like maybe a third of the way through, so it's just quick. You're dying, like die, go, and the thing that makes it so fun is essentially time is your health bar. So you're holding this idle thing that slowly is draining fluid, and when you get shot, it loses fluid. And then when that runs out, you die. So as you're going, like, you need to sort of speed run it, and whenever you take a shot, that timer goes down. So you're like, and you gain time by killing enemies, basically. So you're like constantly just racing against that clock, trying to get as much time as possible. And it's insanely fast. And I thought it was just a blast to play. And it's like between the music and the visuals and just like the speed and chaos and anxiety of playing it, it's a game that was just a mixture of like fun and also really anxiety inducing and just weird, but I really, really loved it.
That's cool. Yeah, no, and I remember when you showed me that, I was like, this looks cool. I'll definitely not play it or buy it, even though it is only a couple bucks, but I could see why you were suggesting it. And I was like, I know that if I sat down, if I was like, say, over at your place and you're like, here, try this, I'd be like, okay, I'm down, and I'd totally try it out and give it a few tries and see what happened. But yeah, it looks weird. So yeah, I definitely, on top of what you said, like, I definitely recommend people, if you're interested at all, if you definitely want to see what this looks like, it's weird. Like, you got to check out the trailer on Steam or on YouTube or wherever you can find a trailer for it. But
like watch a playthrough of it, because again, it's a 10-minute game.
True.
I mean, it won't take you 10 minutes to beat it. It will probably take you hours, but like one playthrough is so short.
Yeah, I guess the best way to describe it, though, if someone wasn't to look at it, would be like some kind of weird, trippy looking Doom. Original Doom game, kind of like, that's the vibe or like that's the kind of thing I get in terms of like when I saw it. Cool. I want to just go right into the next topic, because for me, I've just been playing Demon's Souls, lots of Demon's Souls. And so I kind of wanted to just talk about the fact that I got my PS5, like I got it last Wednesday, right? I think I just touched on that last episode, and I just wanted to kind of give my first thoughts real quick on my first week with the PS5. Just kind of top level, here's what I've loved, here's what I didn't like, and then I'm going to just jump right into my impressions of Demon's Souls, because that's kind of what I'm going to be titling this episode, and the thumbnail's going to have my own little photo mode image that I made, so that's kind of fun, instead of some stock image that everyone has. So PS5. I have been really enjoying having a console experience again. And so I don't know if this is a PS5 thing, but I've really enjoyed being able to just go, grab the controller, press the button, system turns on, and then you're just kind of, you're in your UI and like, okay, like I'm waking up from sleep mode, jump into the game, it's there, it's ready to go, it's already still at the bonfire or the spot where I was at last. I'm like, oh, this is so cool, this is so awesome. Like, even with a fast SSD in my computer that's so great, it's not that fast. It's not that quick to jump into a game, and I think that's cool. I think that's awesome. Having that feeling that I had with the Wii, where playing Astro's Playroom, which you can see on my channel, I have an impressions video on that, like being able to play with the controller and actually being able to like feel the rumbles and the trigger pressure and all that stuff like that, like that gave me the feeling of when I played Wii Sports on the Wii. It's just that experience that you're not going to go back to every day. You're not going to go back and play it all the time. But when you have someone come over who hasn't experienced it before, you want to show them. Kind of like VR also.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, that's the feeling I get with this, where it's like, oh man, I'm playing a Mario game in a way. And then all of a sudden it starts hailing, and you're feeling the little taps around your palms and your fingers, and you're like, oh, this is neat. And then you have other experiences, and it's just so cool. So that, like, the controller's awesome. Best controller ever in terms of features. Not the best controller ever in terms of how it feels. It's oddly, like, when from the side here. So just because this is the best view, I mean, audio listeners or people won't be able to see this obviously, but the front of the controller is heavier than the back, which makes sense. But for me, I found that weird because I actually feel like when you're holding the controller, down near the base here feels like I could squeeze it and break it and shatter it into pieces. Like it feels light. And I heard from people that, like, when I would watch videos online before I had the system, people would be like, oh man, this controller feels like, it feels premium. It feels, weighty. It feels strong. It feels sturdy or whatever. I'd say it does feel more sturdy, more strong, more premium than the PS4 controller. But it does still have that. It still feels hollow, and I think that's bad for me. Whereas like the Xbox Elite V2 controller, it's really heavy, probably too heavy, but it still it feels solid. Like you're holding that controller, you don't feel like you're gonna break it if you squeeze too tight. So that's just funny. Something.
You're talking about weight, and something's like, is this just something I've never realized? And I grabbed my Xbox controller, and it has, like, as you can see, it's a very, like, maybe it's just because it's a more spread out design. But like, I mean, there's batteries in the front. That's where like most of the hardware is, but it still feels like evenly weighted. It doesn't like tip forward. But yeah, that makes sense. I obviously haven't held one, so I can't really say, but you definitely aren't the only person I've heard have some comfort issues. I heard a couple people talk about getting like bruises on their fingers from using it, which I don't know if that's like a widespread thing or not. But I mean, I could see it if you're playing a game that kind of goes really ham with those like the adaptive triggers and stuff. I could see how that would be stressful after like a day of gaming on your fingers. Like even I remember playing Stardew Valley a while ago, like years ago. And I was just like, because you press the shoulder buttons to switch your inventory, and if I'm pressing that so much, my fingers ached. And so if I was playing a game that was really trigger heavy, but it was like fighting back against me, I could see that really kind of getting sore after a while. But I would imagine that's probably just like I've actually been playing this game all day, just like an average use issue.
Yeah, I'm really I'm not sure I would ever get a bruise from on my fingers. I'm just too tough, like too strong.
Chad,
I work out those fingers all the time with the little miniature weights. I do agree though, these triggers, they're tough to pull. Like I was trying to explain it to people at work, and we had a stapler nearby, and I was like, when it's not quite this abrupt for a stop, but when you pull down on a stapler, if you're squeezing a stapler and it stops for a second because the metal's have hit, and then you push it a little further to get that click, and it has that like that tension. It's kind of like that with some, depending on what they're doing, obviously, but it's like with a certain bow pull, it'll be a little bit easy at the beginning, then it'll hit that point and it'll like suddenly kind of resist, and you're like, oh, that's weird, and then you go to push through and it's like, this is actually not just resistance, this is almost really stopping my finger. and it's kind of weird because I find it doesn't happen often, but I've had a couple times where I've gone to press the button and I didn't, because just naturally when you feel the resistance, you're used to, okay, stop pushing, right? And it was weird to me when I would pull the I don't know, it was just a really odd experience, and I do find it actually does get exhausting. I don't think I'd bruise from it, but maybe I'm too tough to bruise, but I have like no cardio, and I would get exhausted by pulling those triggers. So I don't know. Yeah. It's a weird one. I personally think I will be turning off the trigger resistant stuff, but the rumble I'm leaving on for sure, because that is another incredible piece of tech that I couldn't believe when in Astro's Playroom, when they have all the little robots, they're all like pouring down into the controller, and you're turning it left and right, and you can feel them rolling around inside, and it actually worked to what you would hope it does. So it worked just as how you'd hope it does. So that was cool. And I guess most of this conversation is going to be about the controller, but the system is fast. It is as fast as everyone wants, and that's made my console experience fantastic. Like I said, it's the fact that I can take a picture really quick. I can record a little, segment, a 30-second segment or whatever, just by pressing a button. It's faster than the PS4 for sure. That's all positives there. Controller's awesome. The negatives come in when I find the UI still annoying to work with. I still don't like the PS5 or PlayStation 4 UI. I don't like having to hold the thumbstick to the right and just watch all the icons like kind of pop up as you're going through them all. I wish there was a quick home thing. And actually, for a fast console, when you press that PlayStation button, I'm in the middle of Demon Souls and I'm like, oh, I want to go into sleep mode. I'll press the PlayStation button to bring up the little menu that pops at the bottom of your screen, and it takes like a couple seconds before it pops up. I'm used to, like, you press the button and boom, you get into your UI or something, right? Like I'm used to something like that. Like, why does this have to take a while? Like I had one point, multiple times, like very often, I will press the button and go, wait, did I press it? And then I press it again, and then it pops up and then goes away. So I have to press it again, and then I wait a second again, and then it finally pops up, because you can hear the sound right away. You like, it makes a little whoop kind of sound, and you know you pressed it, but you're waiting. Where is it? Oh, there it is. It's really weird. Like I found that really odd, and I don't know if that's just something that would get fixed in an update or
hopefully,
what. But that was a bit of a bad experience for me, because that is where you go if you're wanting to leave the game and you're not wanting to go through the menu in a game saying exit game, and you want to just go to your home, or you want to switch to another app, or you want to go into your settings or to your profile or take a picture. You have to wait like 4 seconds to get into that menu. And I just found that really weird for a system that's so focused on speed. So that's one of two negatives. The other negative is that, and this might be a Demon Souls specific issue, not a console issue, but I've had where I've gone to launch Demon Souls and I haven't been able to figure out the exact reason why this happens, but it'll get to the splash screen, which is like the cover, the artwork for the cover of the box, right? And it just sits there. And it will never load in, and just sits there.
Oh, weird.
And it kind of just freezes at that screen. And so I've done where I've done I've powered it off and back on, and it still went to the frozen screen. And I was worried that I was going to have to like restart or like uninstall and reinstall the game. And then I did a restart instead of the power down and power on, and that fixed it. So I don't know if that's the way to fix it, or if it's just going to be keep turning it off and on until it finally works. So anyways, I just wanted to kind of point those things out real quick. That's my first week with the system, but I haven't had any of the other major issues people have had, where it's like, don't put into sleep mode, it won't turn back on, or controller doesn't charge from the front USB. Like mine charges fine from the front USB. Some people's controllers wouldn't even charge fully. Mine charges fine. So I feel fortunate that I have a system that works well. But yeah, that went a little longer than I expected, but those are my impressions of the week.
So yeah, when you're talking about like the menu not instantly popping up, that like that's the sort of thing an issue I have on like my launch Xbox One, which I would expect because it's a 7-year-old console. But on a current, or I guess current or next gen, however you look at it, on a next gen console, it seems weird to like still have that be a thing, you know? And I wonder if it's some sort of like network bottlenecking issue where it's trying to like where like stuff it's displaying isn't from the console itself, it's from the network, so it's taking a second just to like do that. But it seems like having menus pop up with like the little buffering icon would be better than just like a weird freeze. Because like you're saying, it seems on a generation focused so much on like speed and convenience, it seems it's annoying to have.
Yeah, it's not convenient at all.
And sure. And maybe that's just sort of how it is. I don't know if that's. I know like on my PS4 Pro, I don't really have that issue where like if I hold down the PlayStation button, it comes up just fine. And I haven't used any Xbox other than the launch Xbox One, so I can't speak if like the One X or the Series X is better about that or not. But yeah, that's definitely annoying. That would annoy me quite a bit.
Yeah. I guess you will get an Xbox though, and you'll have to let us know for sure. Because I'm expecting that the UI works totally fine on the Xbox. They've been.
I mean, it's the UI they've been refining. They've been refining for a decade. Almost a decade. I meant a generation. I said a decade. For a generation, and like it works. It works great, and I'm honestly glad they aren't trying to reinvent the wheel with it. Because I don't like if it works great, I don't really see a huge issue in just still using it. You know, I like how it looks. I like how it feels, and a lot of this is just because I've been using it for so long. Like, there's definitely some things that are kind of wonky about the Xbox UI, but like I'm just used to it, so I don't really care. And it's nice to not have to relearn anything. And it seems like because I've heard a few people say that they aren't a big fan of the PS5 UI, and I think part of that, like, I don't know if it's necessarily worse than the PS4 UI, just from what I've heard. I think it's just UI is always sort of complicated and annoying in some ways, and it just will take, like, in a few months, I don't know if people will be disliking or not, because they'll just be used to it.
People just have to get used to it. But yeah, responsiveness is the most important part. If you can get, if it's responsive and quick,
that's a big issue.
Then you can get used to any of the other stuff, because at least once you know how to get there, you'll get there faster, as long as it works fast. But yeah, what you pointed out, the like how on the PS4 Pro it was quick. That's true. I do remember that when I had a PS4, and I remembered it's a muscle memory for me right now to hold the PlayStation button down to get to power off or sleep mode or whatever. And that's not a thing. You have to just tap it. You press and hold it. I don't know if it either doesn't do anything or it just works like a regular press, so it doesn't do anything differently. And yeah, I don't know. That's just a muscle memory thing I'm trying to get used to. But I keep like pressing and holding, and either nothing happens or it pops up. I can't remember. But yeah, it's that's my impressions on that.
I'm kind of glad it goes to pressing though, because if I ever do have a Series X and a PS5, like currently having an Xbox and a PS4, they're different. Like Xbox you tap and PS4 you hold. So when I'm going on one to the other, it's always like, or an Xbox, if you hold it, it goes to the power off screen, not just like the guide menu. So whenever I'm using one or the other, it's the same as like switching between your Switch and your PS4 or whatever, where you're pressing the wrong select button. Like I'm always doing the wrong thing. It's hard to like rewire my brain, but yeah. God, it's so annoying with Nintendo's button layout. I wish they wouldn't.
I wish they just went with something else. Like they don't have to do shapes. They don't have to do letters. They could just do something else. Press
Numbers,
mushroom,
1, 2, 3,
star,
4.
fire flower, and bullet bill. I don't know.
Actually, you know what I learned though? Apparently in Japan, that's just like the standard. Like even on PlayStation,
I heard that too.
It's usually just mapped to that, which it's interesting, but yeah, it's still annoying.
I think Nintendo should do like Nintendo icons for their face buttons.
That would be kind of cool, honestly.
Like do a coin or whatever. Anyways, that would be sweet. I think they should do that. Anyways, back to the PlayStation though. I want to give my impressions on Demon's Souls. So this will be worth marking the time as I did just now. This is going to be a decent chunk, but I wanted to like really get in depth on my thoughts here. I wrote some notes down because as I played through the game, because this is the only Souls game originally created by From Software, right, that I have not played, or until I started, right, that I had never played. I never played the original. The remake here is my first experience with it, so I don't have that comparison to, oh, they did this area differently or they added this thing. From what I understand, the code in the game, or like collision in environments, and a lot of that base like underlying structure of the game is all untouched, and it's mostly just visual and animations, effects, photo mode, things like that. I think is changed, but I think in terms of like how much damage a weapon does and things like that, I feel like they kept it mostly the way it was before, even if it was unfair. I could be wrong there, but yeah, at least in terms of like you roll into this wall and you can, clip through it or whatever, I think that stuff would be all the same. It's all the same structure underneath. So to jump right in, like this game is so beautiful. In my humble opinion and very strong opinion, it is the best looking game of this like console launch. I think no game has looked more. I don't think any games look better, and I'm saying that as I'm biased towards loving fantasy, right? I love this kind of world, but like when the game starts and you have a cutscene that's all, I'm pretty sure it's CGI, and because there's some intense water simulation effects going on, and I'm almost certain that wasn't in the game. But if you ignored that part, the game, like the characters in there look like they're from in the engine. Like it's crazy how you're going, wait, is this or is it not CG, right? And I think that's really cool. It kind of showed right away, right when that game started, before I even got to play. I was like, oh, this game actually does look that good, because I've seen a trailer and I was like, is this in-game? Is this an in-game cutscene, or is this pre-rendered? So I thought that was really cool. The original came out in 2009, so we're like 11 years later, and I can't believe that I'm only, well, I'm going to say only, but I'm 28, and I'm stoked that this is 11 years of a, graphical jump, right? I'm excited to see in another 11 years, where are we going to be at? Because this is already pretty amazing. So just seeing that got me really excited. And it made me also look back to 2009. And this is something we should use as a whole other topic. But 2009 is a killer year for games. I couldn't believe how many amazing games came out in 2009. Because I just couldn't believe it. I don't want to get into it right now, but it's amazing, and I think we should definitely talk about like top game years, because this
you weren't kidding.
Is amazing in terms of a year for games. So
yeah, man. I mean, the Beatles Rock Band. Gosh, it's just Avatar the game. We got
that's the best one.
But also, I mean, fucking League, Bayonetta, the Dragon Age, Borderlands,
Left 4 Dead 2, Mario Bros.
Creed 2, Arkham Asylum. Yeah, gosh.
There's a lot of great ones, though. I couldn't believe it when I saw that list. I mean, of course, I was just doing a Google search. I haven't verified any of those, but still really, really cool. So this game, with all my other experiences now, which, of course, this was the first one that From Software originally made, right? And I'm going to keep using From Software because they did create this game, right? Yes, Bluepoint remade it, but in terms of level design, in terms of world building, it's all From Software. So
it's Bluepoint's artists and FromSoft's game, pretty much.
Bluepoint did an incredible job with this game. I have so much respect for that team, and I even tweeted at them the other day. I was like, "You've made me a happy man," something along those lines. It was like, I am so happy. I'm loving this game so much. Thank you for what you guys have done. It's so good. And I know I'm going to jump back in, but that being said, the level design is not as good as Dark Souls for sure. I think a lot of people love the being able to go through a level and you find shortcuts and you kind of go, oh yeah, I'm back to the beginning. That's cool. There is that in Demon Souls, but I definitely don't think there's enough, and I don't think that there's it's created in such a smart way. I think Dark Souls 1 is the standard that all the games should be focusing on being as good as, if not better. Demon Souls is weird where it's fragmented, right? You have 4 different, or maybe it's 5 different areas you can go to, and it's almost like going to a level in Mario. You have 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, or whatever, and each checkpoint would be like the 1-2, 1-3, 1-4, or whatever. And the way it's split up there, it's kind of linear still. I find it's still pretty linear. You appear in the area, you can explore a bit, but you're still going through till you get to a boss. You beat the boss, and then a new checkpoint appears. Then you then you can head back, use your souls, level up, and then you go to the next boss. But you're still progressing through, because you got to that boss. Now the door behind the boss is now open, and you're still continuing that direction. I don't know. I think in Dark Souls there were more routes you could go besides the boss that kind of made you go back around to an original place you had been to before, and you go, oh, that's sweet, now I can make it here faster or safer, less enemies to fight, and less of a risk of losing all your experience, right? The load times are incredible. They work almost as fast as you see in the trailers, where it's just like a snap, just a blink. You select it with X, fog goes up, fog goes down, you're in the next area. Really, really cool stuff. I have been talking about that a lot on stream, because I have been streaming this on my Twitch channel, and the fact that I can, so many times I go, oh, I need to go spend my souls, level up, or buy an item, or do this thing back at the Nexus, the main hub that you have. And I'm like, I might as well just go do that. It'll take me 2 seconds. I'm right at this bonfire. Okay, I'll just do that. So then I teleport there, teleport back, and it's been less than 5 minutes. And I think that's so sweet, because Yeah, just so many games these days. You go to teleport back to a home base or go to do your any inventory management. Oh, do I want this weapon? Do I want to put this one back on my storage? Do I want to like level up my character? Most of your time is the load screen and not the actual doing that. Yeah. And I think that's cool that they kind of eliminate that completely. The photo mode is really, really cool. And I haven't really played many of, I know a lot of the Sony studios and games have been like having photo mode and like have a lot of amazing features. Like I've seen Miles Morales has like an amazing photo mode and stuff like that. I haven't really played with them too much, and I haven't really played any of the games recently, so I didn't have a comparison here. But I was really impressed with the photo mode in Demon's Souls. Awesome. I liked that there was like filters and there's FOV and depth of field, and you can increase and decrease the amount of like dirt on your lens and things like that. That was just like really cool at film grain. When you get to the filters though, the filters you can actually leave on, so you can play the game with the filter on. So whether if you want black and white mode, the game looks so much more realistic. It's crazy. Like fire looks real at that point. It already looks pretty good, but you know, just it all adds to it, right? Then you have like vivid mode or, you know, classic mode or, you know, whatever at a, I don't know how to say it. Is it vignette, something like that?
Oh, vignette. Yeah.
So you can add that on there, do whatever you want. I tweeted out a pretty ridiculous photo actually of my character's face. You can toggle on and off the head armor you have. So you can pop it off, see your character's face, and then you can put on expressions. So I put on like a laughing face or whatever, and she has missing teeth. And she has like a bowl haircut and she has purple skin and she looked like a monster and it was terrifying. So I just tweeted, I put the vignette down like to where it was like just the head was showing in the middle of this picture and it's just like this freaky looking face. And I've just had a little bit of fun with it, but I'm very impressed with the fact that you can play through with these filters on, or you can and you can save filters too. You can make your own custom ones, save them as a preset, and just turn them on and off in your photo mode. And so that's, I don't know, all that stuff, lots of extra effort that they put into the game that no one would have expected, but I'm sure a lot of people appreciate. So yeah, that's really cool. I also wanted to talk about the fact that the game definitely feels old. I can still, even with the visuals, feel the age of the game. When it comes to design, I think it is partially to me being spoiled with the newer games before playing this one, but the amount of areas in this game that look the exact same, like within a level, right? You'll be in a level and you're going up. For example, there's this one area. It's kind of creepy. It's really cool thematically and very gothic kind of Bloodborne style. And it looks a lot like Bloodborne when you're in this area. I was going up multiple floors, down some floors, back up some floors, back down some floors, and each floor is like a U-shape, like rectangle kind of pathway around with jail cells on the outsides, and they all look the exact same. And the amount of times I got lost on stream, I was getting annoyed because I'm like, this isn't great content, but also this is my first time playing it, so I understand, like, it's fine. I wasn't having fun. I was running up and down floors, trying to figure out where the heck I'd been to already, where I needed to go. And once you've collected all the items and there's no more like things to look for, and I was like, man, like, what am I missing? And I spent so much time just backtracking, and no amount of loading time can fix that. So like, no matter how fast your game loads, backtracking sucks. So
I don't know.
Getting
lost in games is kind of like my least favorite thing.
Yeah, I felt like it wasn't a good. I always go like, are they going for this for difficulty? Do they want me to get lost? But I found
that's an annoying kind of difficulty.
I don't feel like that's a fair comparison, because they have a fair amount of difficulty when it comes to combat. And when it comes to getting lost, I had 2 totally different worlds, different zones where I got really lost in. So I feel like that's kind of poor, or maybe not poor, but definitely not great level design if your people are getting lost over and over again and spending more time trying to find out where they'd been to or where they need to go versus actually facing the enemies and getting through the challenging combat that the game is designed around, really. So that was a bit of a disappointment, or that's one way the game felt old. Another way is that the bosses feel very, very much like their very first bosses they ever made. Because yes, I died. Yes, I died to some, but they are not hard. They are very, very basic, and maybe they were difficult at first. There, multiple bosses. I'd enter the room, I'd get 2 hits in and get owned. And I was like, holy cow, this is going to be a tough fight, guys. Like, this is going to be insane. I have to get all the way back there now. I don't know what I'm going to do on the second try, but we're going to get there. We're going to give it a shot. I get there on the second try and be like, okay, we're going to be a little more cautious here. We're going to watch the moves. Oh, he's got 3 or 4 moves. Oh, okay. Oh, I got an opening here. Okay. And then just do that over and over. Or I would get into the fight and my first try, I'd beat them because I would just go, no. You know what? I'm just kind of, this one looks like it's weak to fire. It's a big blob of like goo. Turns out it's weak to fire. Light my sword on fire and I'm just slicing away. Big chunks of health are going away and I'm like, oh, I'm getting hurt, but the enemy's attacks are so slow I can heal in between and then just get a few more hits in. So I just tank the fight, go right through, just take them out. And I'm like, oh, this is great. I don't even have to learn how to dodge. And so for me, that was really disappointing. And also kind of funny because I thought, you know what, this would kick my ass if it was my first Souls game. So I'm not talking down to anybody who is like, if this is your first Souls game and you're getting your ass whooped, I totally understand. Respect to you for trying. But this is not my first one. This is like the last one I have to play. And for all the combat experience I've had with the other games, this was kind of disappointing in how easy a lot of these fights were. I think I've beaten more... Maybe not more, but I think I've beaten almost as many on my first try as it took me multiple tries to beat. So there was one stream where I think I played 3 hours and I beat 6-ish bosses.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, wow, that was a lot of content I just went through. So, but then like maybe the stream before, I was just lost in the level forever. And I think I beat like 2 or 1, right? So like that was where like the pacing was odd.
Have you beat the game yet?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I think I'm really close. Then. I think I'm close. But yeah, it's
that's good.
It's taken me a while, definitely, and that's also for sure my inexperience with the game. And like even thinking about it now, I have in my head I can plan out, oh, this is how I'd go through really quick. but I wanted to experience everything. So
to be honest, like the way you describe it, kind of like I don't know. I guess it kind of speaks to why I don't totally agree with like Blue Point's design philosophy of essentially just like taking a game, like all the same code, all the same everything, just like redoing the paint and putting it out there. I don't personally love that style of things because I think if a game's core systems are that good that they don't need to be untouched, I don't see the need for a remake. Like I think just make it run in 4K, like just like upscale it, make sure it runs good on modern TVs and put it on the PS5, and I think that would work fine. And if it is old and like you're saying does kind of have some design issues and maybe could use more than just a facelift, I think it's worth doing the Final Fantasy VII or Resident Evil 2 style of like, let's go in and really modernize this. Like, let's take what made the original great and make something new out of it. Or even if you don't want to go as far as like a Final Fantasy VII, if you like the Tony Hawk Pro Skater remake that they just released, where it is 1 and 2 levels, but it's also like the later games' actual like skating mechanics sort of mixed with the early games. Like it feels more modern than those games ever did. More than just like, oh, it looks pretty and it runs on modern systems. And I think I can definitely see why just a graphical remake would be a thing. Because I mean, with something like Shadow of the Colossus too, I think that there's such like both those games just have a magic to it that I think with the wrong studio necessarily wouldn't be able to get. Like if there was ever like a Shadow of the Colossus remake that wasn't just like a graphical update, I think it would have to be made by Team Ico, because that game has such a magic to it that is really, really difficult to recreate. But at the same time, I think Shadow of the Colossus has a lot of issues on its core like gameplay thing. Like that horse feels like shit. I hate that horse so much. Like riding around with it, it just never does what you want. And that's kind of the point, but also I it's annoying. Like, I get that's the point, but at the same time, they could have implemented it better. And like, it was good on the PS2, but now it just feels bad, you know. And I I think like what you're describing with Demon Souls is kind of a similar thing where it looks new, but it still has that sort of older feel to it, and that or at least inexperience. Like, I think the way you're describing it, like if From Software went back and remade it themselves with like redoing how like the bosses, sort of not like redoing their designs or like placement and stuff, but just like redoing their moveset, or if not totally redoing, just like augmenting, like make it bigger, make it more complex, and more that you can't just see it once and go, oh, I get it, and then beat it the next time, you know. And I think something like that would maybe be a bit more meaningful than just or not meaningful, just like a bit better than just like a facelift, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you up to the like with the boss fights being upgraded in certain ways, add more moves or fix the AI. There are certain fights where the AI does get bugged. It does stick, the enemies just like run into a wall and you're like, what are you doing? And they'll do it over and over again. You go, okay, well, I guess I can exploit this. And yeah, like that's kind of that's disappointing. I wish they would fix those things. However, that's when I get into the nitpicky stuff, right? It's definitely like, I would rather they fix this, or I would wish they fixed it, but I'm loving this game so much regardless. And the world, even though I don't like getting lost, I feel like if you're going to remake it, I feel like they did everything they needed to for a Demon Souls game. I think you're right for a lot of remakes, right? But I think, say, the amount of time that arrow travels, and the amount of, you have that memory, and even if you don't, there's a certain amount of time that everything takes for an attack that just like works so well for different enemies. They have different speeds, and I feel like just tweaking those too much just wouldn't really work. The fact that everything is to the perfect amount of like, this is what the original game was like. This arrow would travel this fast normally. It just looks more pretty. This enemy would jump at you and then swing a bunch of times, and it happens just like that in the original game. Now it just looks better and it does it. I think the world would need to stay the same, but I think that the bosses should have been fixed up. Yeah, I agree with you there, at least. But
and I think like with what you're just saying, where everything just kind of works, I think in that case, I think there just isn't like Demon Souls doesn't really strike me as a game that needs to be like remade. Like, I think a remaster probably would have done it just as well, if that makes sense. Like, I mean, obviously, this is better than a remaster. Like, 100%. It looks fucking gorgeous. Like, I haven't played it, but just looking at it. I like, yeah, I mean, 100%. But I personally feel like I would rather get just a new game than, like,
but for me, it is a new game.
Putting a ton of budget and effort.
But like for me, this is a new game, right? I never would have played the original. I probably would have played it if they were like, oh, this is a PS4 game. It's remastered. It looks like the old game, but HD. Like, I would have been down for that. But man, this got me actually excited. The fact that they put in this much effort into the visuals. And like, yeah, I'm a sucker for visuals, but not over gameplay. And the fact that I knew that they weren't touching the code for the game made me actually more confident and go, okay, well, I know I love From Software. I know I love the way the combat is in those games. I know how it feels to run behind, move the control stick back, and press the R1 button to get a backstab. I know how I'm supposed to do that, and it feels that a certain way. And anyways, I could go on about that, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think that for this game, it needed to... I don't think just a remaster would have worked. Also, they actually have, I think in the original, they just had forward, back, left, and right dodging, and now they added like the other diagonal directions, which is still not quite any direction, which I wish they had, but it still helps. It's just that's one thing. That's another little enhancement they added to the game. I think they added like password matchmaking possibly as well. Might be wrong there. I think I saw that when I was going through the menus. I only have one more thing to say about the game. I don't want to talk. I don't want to spoil anything, so I've been trying to be careful there. But there is a boss fight where... how do I not ruin this for people who have... How do I not ruin this 11-year-old game? There is a boss fight that involves connecting with another player. And
interesting.
because of that, there's a cutscene that you have to watch, and it takes between it's about 2 minutes. I would say.
I think you were talking about this last episode.
Was
right?
I might have. I was upset about this.
Where you got stuck on this for a while. I was meaning to ask you if you ever got past it.
So I did, and that's what.
That's
but
good.
Being stuck at this boss basically, where you'd be fighting your way up this tiny stairway and fighting all directions. If you swing your sword too wide, you hit the wall and you don't even attack, and then you get hit or something like that. I had a tough time fighting my way up, so I left it. Came back to it. I think it was the day before yesterday, and I was more leveled up. Kicked butt on all these enemies. Still lost to the boss. And I remember thinking, well, this is dumb because I have to go through this cutscene and I can't skip it every single time. Then I realized, and I just remembered, that I could play this game in offline mode. So I did that. I turned on offline mode, went into the cutscene, and I could skip it. I was like, oh, I should be doing this then. And it made the boss significantly easier, I'll be honest. Because you know what? Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. You're fighting another real player in this boss fight. And I have no problem when people kick my ass. Like, it just, I need to get better. I need to learn. That's how it is. I'm not the best at this game. That's understandable. I'm not ever going to claim I am. But to have to go through a tough fight or a tough tight corridors, try not to get hurt at all, going up the stairway, and then having to watch a cutscene that's like 2 minutes long every single time you try is really draining, at least mentally. And you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to go do something else. I want to go fight another area or fight new enemies or do something different. Like, I wish I could just start a fight with a person and go through. So, for me, going offline mode, the NPC that I had to fight at the top for the boss was hella easy. Just kept flattening him with my giant sword. He'd come at me with little claws and then just squish him before he could get close enough. But that was my other little gripe with the game, was just like, I had an issue with that before. Turn off on offline mode for that fight. Then go back online if you want to, because I found online was just the best way to play. It was fun to be able to like get summoned to other people's worlds, help them beat a boss, or get to experience a boss before you go through the gate. You're just like, you're standing at a fog door and you're like, I'm pretty sure there's a boss here. You put your little summoning name down on the ground, someone else summons you to their world, then you go through and you're like, oh, this is what it's like. You watch the other person get killed. And you're like, oh, this is going to be tough. Then you go back to your world and then you give it a try and you lose too. But it was a fun experience, and I'm just having a ton of fun, and I'll probably stream it this weekend. And I think I'm really close to the end. I have fully cleared, like, I want to say 4 of the areas. I think I'm on, it's like the original first area you go to, but you can't complete it. And so I'm still like at the final spot. I think I'm at the, like, what's normally going to be the final spot of a zone. And so I think that I'm near the end. If anything, I would imagine, if I had to guess without knowing, I'd say only 2 or 3 bosses left, but I don't actually know.
Awesome. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't do, like, sometimes you think you're at the end of the game and then it goes, oh, we'll actually have to backtrack a ton. And like, yeah. Hopefully it doesn't pull that on you, but
Dark Souls kind of does that. But so maybe this will. But yeah, I think I'm guessing I'm near the end. But yeah, that's all I had to say about this game. Those are my impressions on it. Loving it, having a blast. There are some issues, but nothing crazy.
Yeah. No, it seems like a lot of that's pretty just nitpicks.
So you had a topic that you wanted to bring up on the show.
Yeah, so earlier this week, I think it was like the lead QA tester at CD Projekt Red mentioned that he was like 175 hours into the game on one of his saves and like wasn't even trying to 100% it, but hadn't rolled credits yet. And I looked at that, and to be honest, my stomach just dropped. Like, like hearing that just sounds so like terrifying to me, because I super long games don't necessarily do it for me on a personal level, but the question I want to ask you and talk about, like, more than just I have a like baby attention span and that's fine, like, but even taking that out of it, do you think a game can be too long? Because 175 hours and having not beat it yet, that's kind of pushing the limits. But yeah, what do you think? Start us off.
Yeah, so reading that, I just went back to that article just to make sure I was like kind of seeing what this person did, and apparently they're playing on the hardest difficulty, and they were doing like everything in the game. They were being stealthy, which definitely takes longer to go through combat if you're being stealthy.
Yeah, for sure.
So I feel like that is definitely going to inflate the difficulty. Or not difficulty, what am I talking about? Inflate the amount of time it takes to get through a game, for sure. But I do think a game can be too long. Yes, that's my short answer. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 was too long. I didn't finish it. I tried twice to finish it. Like, not starting over really from the beginning, but I got what I thought was near the end. Then I realized I wasn't near the end. Then I went back to the game and tried completing it, and then I just fell off. So I fell off twice in the middle of trying to complete the game. So whether that means it was too long or it just wasn't interesting enough, I don't know. But that was one that I felt like was too long. I never finished Witcher 3, so like I feel like that one was too long. But I do feel like 50, 60 hours for doing everything in a game is like a nice amount of time, and then maybe 40 hours for like a maximum amount for a story. If I was just to like vaguely put a number on there, because I don't mind throwing numbers on there. I don't mind having an opinion on that. I feel like that's a good amount of time, and I'm just basing that off of going through Last of Us Part 2 this summer, and how that took like I think around 60-70 hours for me to go through.
Oh, really?
I can't remember how long it was. I honestly just don't remember. But it was. So
I think for me it was like around 30.
Oh no, it was more than that for me.
But I could see it being 60-70 if you like really were trying to 100% it.
Maybe it was like 50-60
and stuff.
I know I played about 5-6 hours every day from like Monday to Friday. So whatever that ends up equaling, it was something like that. And I feel like by the end of the week, like I was very into the game. And Taylor was enjoying it to a point, other than the fact that it was scary and she is having nightmares. I enjoyed it, but I felt like, okay, maybe one less day would have been fine, you know?
I agree. I totally agree, yeah.
I loved the character development. I feel like there's just a little bit of stuff that you could have fixed, or like could have been cut out, you know, in order to reduce how much you were having to play in order to finish that story. But that's just me talking about story stuff. When you go to an open world, though, like Zelda, I think it just depends. I think you go to like say Zelda Breath of the Wild, where you can easily put in over 100 hours. I wouldn't want to be able to.
But I guess, but the difference with the Breath of the Wild, I guess, is you can beat Breath of the Wild.
So yeah, I'll just finish my point there. I'll just finish my point there. So what I was going to say is like for that game, I don't mind it being over 100 hours as long as it's optional content and you can jump into it whenever you want, do whatever you want. It's not like, I don't know, it's not like it's more of an exploration thing, I guess is what I'm saying. If it's not long quests that take half an hour to complete, multiple parts to them. This is just Nick speaking. This is just my opinion, my want. I like games that are long, but they have lots of tasks that'll take less than 10 minutes to do. And if it's
your shrine or whatever,
and then you have a main story that will take however many hours, a significant amount of time. But I do not like when, like, this is something I'm worried about for me, being someone who's super excited for Cyberpunk. I want to play through everything in that game, but I'm worried about too many side quests that end up being a half hour plus each, and depending on what they are, I feel like I'm going to get tired of them, and I hope I don't. I feel like I'm going to want to just beeline through the story just so I can experience the whole story, see what it's like, and then maybe go and explore all the nooks and crannies and see if there's other things to do. Because I don't totally know what to expect when it comes to that. But like Borderlands would be a game that I would suggest as a game that did a great job with side quests. There were a lot of them.
Sure,
there were a lot of them, and they were there was a lot of interesting ones, but they didn't take too long to complete. And so I felt like that was good. I don't like when you go, okay, go here and do this thing. You go there to do it. Okay, now go here and do that thing also. And now come back and talk to this person that you first talked to. Okay, now they're sending you out again. You're like, oh, I'm still on the same quest line for this side thing? Like, this feels like it's a main story, you know? So, anyways, that's my long-winded response. Yes, games can be too long, but those are kind of my criteria for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it really varies game to game. Like, Persona 5 it took me 120 hours to beat, and I would say, it was a little on the longer side. You could have cut maybe one palace, but I don't know if I would call Persona 5 too long, because its length I think really enhanced like the feeling of it, and that's coming from someone who really prefers shorter games. But whereas like Devil May Cry 5 is probably 10 hours long, and I think that is perfect. Like it is so tight, the pacing of it. Like nothing really drags out. As soon as you're getting tired with one mechanic, it's on to the next. Like, and it's so perfectly like on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. Like the story feels, because for me, like kind of the reason why I play games much of the time is because of the story. Like it's I mean, it varies game to game, but like when I play a game, I want to see the end. I want to see how things turn out. And it's frustrating for me a lot of the time in a game that is like just like 60, 70, 80 hours long, when I just want to see that end. Like I'm getting really tired of the game, but like I just want to see what happens, and then inevitably I get distracted and don't end up finishing, and that's kind of frustrating to me. But yeah, I mean, like what you're saying, I think 40 hours on average is good for a lot of games. But I think like your Devil May Cry's, I think if DMC 5 was 40 hours, it would not work at all. Like I think it would just be way too long, and you start getting really bored of what's happening, because it is like an capital A action game. Like you are fighting things, and that's kind of all you do. And after 40 hours, that would get frustrating. But in something like The Last of Us 2, where you're finding guys, but there's also a lot of story and cutscene. There's also a lot of puzzles. There's a lot of exploration. Like I think it flows a little better. Or something like Persona 5, I think that length works so well because it's just so chill, I guess. Like Persona 5 was, I felt totally fine just playing a couple hours a day, like kind of chipping at it, doing some confidant stuff, going mementos for a bit, grind out a palace, whatever. Like, and that felt fine. Like I beat Persona 5 over the course of like over a month, I think, because it's really long, but I didn't feel like I had to just like go on it because it was so chill. And I think yeah, I mean, I think depending on the game, actually really good example of a game that was way too long is Metal Gear Solid 5, which I played a while ago, and I beat it, and I ended up getting really addicted to it on that last try. But a couple times before, like I'd get there and I'd play maybe 20 hours and then just sort of burn out and stop. And then I'd come back and then play 20 hours and burn out and stop. And now I have like almost 200 hours in the game.
Wow.
Because I got obsessed with like doing the FOBs and like doing all the side quests. And I want 100% it, which, God, that's impossible. I think I'd have to get like closer to the 400-hour range on it, which I'm not willing to do. But just to beat the story, it took me over 100 hours in a game that is action stealth. And I think in that sort of like fast-paced game, like 120 is just too long. Like there's so many missions in that game that could have just been really easily cut. Like I'm a big believer, I forget who said it, but I remember there's some quote of like I think they're talking about movies, but really any piece of art, if it's cut down like 10% in length, would be better. Like no matter how tight it is, if you take down 10% of that fat, it's going to be a more enjoyable experience. And I think, yeah, I mean, like what you're talking about Cyberpunk, I think if it is just a lot of kind of monotonous side quests and stuff like that, it could definitely get annoying. If it's making you do that stuff, I guess. But
yeah, which it won't.
I don't think so. But even if it is like 70, 80 hours just to see the end of the story, I think that's going to be a little sad for me, especially when it's a game that focuses so much, it seems like, on replayability, where every time you play the story, you know, you can see something different. Like you make different choices, and you can meet or not see characters that you would like. You can meet characters that you'd never see in a different playthrough, which I think is interesting. But it's unfortunate when I'd have to play the whole like 80-hour plus campaign and then have to play that whole 80-hour plus campaign again to see all the stuff that I didn't get to before, you know?
Right.
Like Fire Emblem Three Houses, I had that issue where I liked that story. I never ended up finishing because it was too long. But like I really wanted to go back and play as the other houses because it is like really different the way the stories are presented. It's like a totally different perspective on what's happening. But I didn't, because it's an 80-hour game, and I don't want to play. I mean, what is that? Like 240 hours of like Fire Emblem, you know? But yeah, I think I would probably like, yes, games absolutely can be too long in my opinion, but I think I would maybe lean on the games. I really like short games personally. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, to be honest. I totally went off on a loop.
No, it was good. That was good. No,
you're talking about.
I'm about what you prefer, right? That's kind of the thing. It's like, well, I guess more, can games be too long for you, right? And what would you prefer, right, for a game length? And sounds like 40 hours seems to be a pretty good overall, kind of number that we like to throw out.
Pretty down the middle, like traditional AAA action adventure game. I think 40 hours makes a lot of sense.
Full-time job, play it for a week. You're done.
Pretty much, yeah. But I mean, for me personally, like, you're talking about what you prefer. I love 6-hour games. Like, in my opinion, 6 to 10 hours is like, for me, the ideal length of a game. Like, if I can just get in there, see what it has to offer, get out, move on to the next, I love that. Like, especially if it's on Game Pass. If I can just download a game, like, play through it, go, that was awesome, and then never touch it again, I actually really like that. And maybe that is because I play a lot of indies, and indies kind of tend to be around that length, and I think it works for them. But yeah, but at the same time, if The Last of Us 2 is 6 hours, I think it would just kind of be like, whoa, it's just kind of came and went. Like, the story would have to fly by and not have the same impact. But yeah. Yeah,
you're probably more of a game of day kind of person. Not every day, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm more of a, I want to play this for a week.
I love games that I can beat in a sitting. Like, some of my favorite games, I like Piku Niku. I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast before, but it like showed up on Twitch. Like, it was one of the free games on Twitch Prime one day. I'm like, oh, this looks weird. It's made by Devolver. Devolver's a great track record. I'll play it. And then, like, sat down, beat it in one sitting. That was really unexpected and weird and awesome, and I love it. And then haven't touched it since. Actually, I take that back. I played it with my partner. But, like, it was just so short and enjoyable. Like, just in, out, awesome. It's cute. It's creative. It's fun. On to the next. And I love that, personally.
Did they like it? Did your partner like it?
Yeah, they love it. Yeah,
that's
they
awesome.
Actually, a quick plug on their side. They have a shop on Redbubble that is almost exclusively Piku Niku.
Oh, really?
Where you can get like T-shirts and stickers. Yeah, they love it.
That's awesome.
Hold on. Let's see if I can. I'm gonna text them right now. I'm gonna see if I can get it so I can plug it on here. And then, if not, you can just put a link in the description.
Well, while you wait for that, I just wanted to point out, because we both like Zelda a lot. I can't remember. Have you played Zelda Twilight Princess?
Yes, I didn't beat it though.
Okay, so that one apparently on average, that one is about 40 hours for the main story.
Holy shit! Really?
Yeah. This is just a Google search again, but I was just curious on like game length. It says for main story, out of 306 votes, it's about 37 hours 43 minutes for the main story. For a completionist, it would be about 56 hours or about 57 hours. So I just thought that was an interesting one, because I really liked Twilight Princess, and I felt like there was a good amount of dungeons, and I felt like the game was good. I felt like it was a slightly too long when I had played it way back when I was younger and it came out. But I really loved that Zelda game, and I was just curious, so I just thought I'd look it up, and I thought that was a good comparison. We were talking about 40 hours, and I was like, oh, that was about 40 hours apparently. And then I looked at Ocarina of Time, and that one's on average about 26 hours for the main story. So I just thought that was interesting. Just wanted to bring that up while you were waiting for a link. So I also wanted to touch on the game length a bit more myself, because when I think of even Demon Souls right now, right, I would be really bummed if it was just a core, let's say it was just bosses, because that really is what these games are all about, are the bosses. Yeah. And even if it was like that, and let's say a Cuphead version of Demon Souls, where you're just doing boss fight after boss fight, I wouldn't enjoy it as much. I love the not knowing what's around the corner, the taking your time, and like that's where a game can, I guess, take more time or less time depending on what you do with it. And I betcha if you play Cyberpunk in a very aggressive way, where you kill all your friendly people, you kill all the people who can hand out quests, I betcha you're gonna have a quick playthrough. I bet you're gonna be done with the game in like 10 hours. just light the world on fire, Zig.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited for Cyberpunk though.
Oh, you're excited now.
I don't know.
He's getting more excited.
I've gone to the point where I'm excited about it. Yeah.
Yes, we got him.
You got me. You got me. But yeah, I mean, I hope I finish it, but I don't know if I doubt I will, to be honest, and that's a little disappointing to me personally because it seems like a cool story and I want to see it to the end. But I mean, if what you're saying, if I can just like kill anybody close to me and just like fucking power through this game, that sounds honestly really entertaining.
It does. It really does.
And I want to see if I can do that.
So, okay, let's just add this on. We didn't have this planned. So if you need a bit of time, I can go first. That's fine because I've thought about this a bit.
Okay.
My question to you is, when you play Cyberpunk, are you going to role play? And if so, what is your character going to be about? I'll go first so you have some time to think about it. For me, I really want to play as a corpo. I want to be some corporate dude who's like, I am going to basically be this guy who, like, in my power fantasy basically is what it'll be. I would be this character who I'll try to use my words to get around situations, have a silver tongue, just, say what they want to hear, get them to do things for me. And if that doesn't work, I want to be like the kind of person who can just hack people to do stuff. Just like, oh, you disagree? Okay, well, I'll force you to agree now with my mind, or if that's a thing in the game. And I don't know all the features they're going to have, right? But if there's a way to do more than just cause a person to shoot themselves, then I think that'll be so cool to be able to like kind of almost like mind control people into doing stuff for you as a corporate, like annoying
or like a Jedi
person.
Mind trick type
yeah
thing,
kind of something like that, right? And then I want to spec as well into like close quarter combat, so I don't know if that covers everything close quarters or if that would just be like melee and just be like super strong and just someone who, like, if someone did like somehow get out of your mind tricks, they come up to you to take you out and then you just grab them and pop their head into the floor kind of thing. I would love that's the kind of character I'm going to go for, this person. And also ruthless, like to where, like, you don't get a second chance with me. If you do something I don't like, you're dead. And if that makes me lose quests, or like I have to pay for it later by fighting a ton of people, I'm down. Let's do it. I'm excited. Like, that's the kind of person I'm going to play as. And I'm just going to have like choose the things I would do if I had the abilities of this character in that situation. And I will just go for it. So I'm really excited to play through and kind of play as this ruthless, like, power hungry person that I would maybe awesome, be in that world, right? Maybe that makes me seem evil, but excuse me. What about you?
I feel like whenever I play an RPG like this, I always want to go like the idea for a character I always have going in is that I want to just basically be like max strength but like lowest charisma and intelligence possible, where it's just like just a fucking idiot, but who can just tank through anything, and I love that. But I feel like usually when I play games, I'll like stat my character like that, and then just kind of end up being sympathetic to everyone on accident. Like, I played the Outer Worlds for a bit and did that. The only game that's actually really stuck with is Disco Elysium, where I was just a complete asshole dipshit to everybody, and it was a blast, to be honest. Where someone asked me something and I just like give them the dumbest possible answer, or like talking to like the police chief and immediately tell her that I don't know where my gun is and I think I dropped it somewhere, or that sort of thing. And I don't know, maybe I'll actually stick with it this time, like I did in Disco Elysium. But yeah, that's usually what I like to do, just like the dumbest possible guy, but who just it doesn't matter because he can just crush your skull in his hand.
Yeah, that's a good point. They never said anything about a dumb option, but man, now that you mentioned the Outer Worlds, like, that would be so great if there was dumb options, even if it doesn't have to be a thing. I really
like that was the thing in Outer Worlds.
I hope that there's dumb options. And what do you think the cool stat will be for? Or what is it? Is it cool? Maybe I'm wrong. I want to say...
I assumed cool was like...
I'm pretty sure it is.
Like keeping your cool, not like stylish, but I could be wrong. Like composure, I guess. Where, so if someone's like giving you a hard time right up in your face, you can like keep your composure better.
Yeah. Apparently in the tabletop, it's about keeping your calm in combat. Okay. But who knows what it'll be like in this game, right? Like, Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Because if there was just like a cool, as in like stylish, like as a stat, that would be pretty awesome. I have no idea how that would implement. Or,
I'm wondering if like
sense, but
I could see it being something that increases, because I know you have your currency and then you have street cred, or your experience points and your street cred points as well. I wonder if like it would like increase the amount of street cred you would get because you're so cool or something like that. I don't know if that's a thing, but I can't imagine it being like where I have a low cool stat, so when you aim down your weapon you're not calm and you're like looking all over the place and like waving your weapon all over and you're like, damn, I can't aim at anything. I doubt that's gonna be a thing. Yeah, so what happened here to my doc here? Oh, I overwrote it. I was like, where did it go? I don't think I have anything else on here. Yeah, just mainly. Did you get that text back, by the way?
Oh, I did. Hold on.
Okay, well you can prepare. I'm gonna wrap up the episode here.
Robot Casual on Redbubble. I'll send you the
or
link.
say it now.
But
that's also
check out their stuff.
Robot Casual.
Very good. Yeah, it's exactly how it sounds.
Awesome. We said it now. Yeah, so we're gonna wrap up the episode here. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching or listening. And just again, as a reminder, this will be the last episode on the podcast services. But we will continue on YouTube. The one thing that will change with YouTube, though, just in order for me to have my Friday evenings back, I'm going to be posting the episodes at 7 a.m. on Sunday mornings now. It will be the last episode that's out on a Saturday morning. And so just wanted to let everyone know with a week advance that it will be Sunday morning, 7 a.m. for the future. Right now, it's just because if I do this, we record on Friday and I work. And then when I get home, I basically have 15 minutes to get ready and jump on, and then we record. And by the time we're done with this, I start exporting, and I feel like I can't leave the house, or I can't, hang out with anyone or have a social life unless because I need to be sitting here waiting for that export to finish so I can upload, and then I can get the description ready, get the thumbnail ready, and do all these things for the next morning. Me having that extra morning or that extra day will really help with the work-life balance. So that'll be nice. So yeah, just wanted to update everybody on that. And yeah, without further ado, this has been Ziggy Hickson. Find him everywhere at Ziggy Hickson. We have all kinds of links in the description below. Please check them out. Ziggy's awesome. He does awesome artwork stuff.
I would appreciate it.
Yeah, he's a very talented person. I'm envious of your talent. And you can follow me.
You have had an art account, right? Or is that still?
No, it was the Nickelob thing, and then I put it back to my name, and then I made the other Nickelob account, and then I haven't really been posting anything. It's more game related now.
The stuff in there was really cool, but
thank you.
Saying,
I've been putting all my time and effort into this now. And I mean, there's artwork here. You can see the amazing green border that I put like 5 hours. No, I'm just kidding. But like, I have the controller background where I drew all these controllers and I made the animation, and I've just been having fun, using my creative talents in that way. But yeah, you can check me out at Nickelob just about everywhere. On Twitter, it's I_Nickelob. But yeah, descriptions are in the link below as well. We both stream, right? We both stream on Twitch. You use your Instagram
lately, but yeah.
Like
you've been doing it a lot more than me lately.
Just because of Demon's Souls, and I will be streaming Cyberpunk. So I don't know if you're going to be doing that, but we'll be streaming the Game Awards together though on December 10th. That'll be fun.
That's soon, like a week and a half. Right?
Yeah, that's coming up. The same day Cyberpunk comes out. I'll be streaming Cyberpunk all day. Jumping right in.
Do you think they're gonna do? Sorry, quick aside. I know we're already running long, but
that's okay.
One of my favorite game launches ever was Smash Bros. Ultimate because it came out the night of the Game Awards, where it was a night of like video game hype anyway. And then the whole time they're like, remember, once this is over, like as soon as this ends, you can boot up your game and start playing it. And the whole time they're like, commercial, and they like revealed Joker that night in Smash, and they were just like going, and then it was over, and then like the people were clapping at the end. I'm like, fuck it, just turn off the TV, grab my Switch, and just immediately started playing Smash. It was like just having that whole night where they're like, you're almost there, like the countdown to it. I wonder if they'll do that with Cyberpunk, because that'd be awesome, I think.
Yeah, I guess, but wouldn't it be out by the time that it started? because it would come out.
Possibly.
It comes out on the 10th, so the Game Awards are on the evening
I think
of the
Smash
10th.
technically came out like the day after, like at midnight.
Yes.
Or 9 p.m. where I was.
And I bought the physical version, so I didn't even get it that night. So that's why I don't remember it so clearly. But I do remember the Joker reveal. I just didn't remember the game coming out that day.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I didn't even play Persona at that point, but seeing that was like.
Oh man, we're getting on a tangent here. But yeah, so this has been
anyways, we need to end it.
You can check it out on my YouTube channel for the future. Just look up Nick Loeb or Screen Peeking on YouTube, and I'm sure you'll find it. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.